I lost $650,000. And I want to tell you how I lost it and how I felt losing it. Goes all the way back to September 2016 when Bitcoin was trading about $615 and I decided to buy 10 Bitcoin. Actually, it was about 9.7373 Bitcoin and it cost me $5,993.37. People had heard of Bitcoin, but it wasn't nearly as popular as it is now. And I took my Bitcoin and then I had to buy some altcoins with that too, because I wanted a diversified crypto portfolio. So I traded some Bitcoin for 260 Monero. Monero was anonymous coin where you cannot track the spending. You cannot see who bought what or where they went to what addresses, and is a completely anonymous crypto. And then I used some of that Bitcoin to buy 154 Ethereum. And well, back up to Monero. Monero was trading at $7.67 then. And this 154 Ethereum that I bought was trading at $13.34. And then I spent a little bit on Ant shares. And Ant shares was like the Ethereum of China. And I bought 1,868 of those. And they were trading at about 12 cents a piece. So I spent like 200 and something bucks on these Ant shares. And that left me with about 2.63 Bitcoin left over. After that, Bitcoin went into a pretty good bull market and it eventually reached the mania stage. One of the big things from this mania stage was called BitConnect. And this was like a Ponzi scheme thing where you would give them Bitcoin. In exchange, they would give you a 1% return a day. I think that was the number. It was some crazy number like that. It was like 1% return a day in BitConnect coins. And they had this big funny meme about BitConnect and this funny guy. And then there was ICOs, initial coin offerings. And these were really hot, and they kind of remind me of, the NFT thing in the SPAC market right now. And where a company, instead of issuing shares, they would issue their own coins. And this was instead of an IPO, or they would do ICO, initial coin offering. So eventually, these coins went up in price. And these coins went a whole bunch. They went up so much that it was really life-changing gains for me. I felt like I won the lottery. Bitcoin reached a high of about $19,400. So my value there was $51,000 in Bitcoin. Monero reached a high of $466, and that was $121,000 for me. Ethereum reached a high of $1,340, and that means I had $206,000 in Ethereum. And then Neo, the stuff I bought for 12 cents, went up as high as $1,414, and that means I had $356,788 in Neo. They changed their name. They were Ant shares, then they changed their name to Neo. But yeah, $356,000. And I swear, I know that the numbers were higher than this, but I think it was just like the way the time frame and the intraday or whatever, the scale that these numbers were zoomed into on the CoinMarketCap chart. because I swear Monero hit about $500. Ethereum, I swear, hit $1,500, and I think Neo was pretty close to $1,500. So I made a whole bunch of money, life-changing amounts of money, and it felt like I won the lottery. I felt that like I was so smart and that my life had changed with all this. And the meme back then was Lambos. If you invest in Bitcoin, you could get Lambos. And I could actually do that. I could buy 2 or maybe 3 Lamborghinis with how much money I had made at this time. I could buy houses. And I thought it was easy sailing from here on out. That like my life had changed, I'd done it, and maybe I'd work, but it wasn't like hard work where I had to be there every day. I could like take this money, reinvest it, and I remember thinking like it is just a matter of time before I'm a millionaire, and not like like in the future down the road some day. No, this was like I'll be a millionaire in a couple weeks. Like this time in a month or 2, I'm gonna be a millionaire. That's what I felt. That's how it felt during this time. And I remember one night, I was sitting on my bed, I had my laptop there, and I'm looking at these numbers, and I'm just looking at Ethereum thinking how much money I made. And it's like, I should sell. I should take some profit right now. I could easily sell off $200,000 and take some profit. $200,000 would be fine. That would give me plenty of money to ride out the rest of this crazy bull market, and I would be safe. I could take that $200,000, invest it in dividend stocks, buy a house, I don't know, something like that. Something conservative where the money would be protected. And I remember just sitting there on my laptop thinking I should just take out $200,000. Do you think I took out $200,000 in profit that night? No, I didn't. Hell no, I didn't. I was gonna ride this. I thought I had a plan. I was looking for institutional investors and $1 trillion market cap before I was gonna sell any of my cryptos. Then the price went down. Not a big deal at first. It went down a little bit. And not a big deal because, the price had been going up, 5-10% a day. So it goes down a little bit, not a big deal. And then the next day goes down a little bit again. And again. And then it'll have a little bounce. And then you think, oh, okay, that little correction is over. That was a healthy correction, and now we're going back up. Time for that millionaire. Time to be a millionaire soon. And you get your hopes up a little bit so you don't sell. And then it goes down again. And then it goes down again a little bit more. And a little bit more. And then it'll have a little bounce. And then you get your hopes up. Like, oh, that's it. We're going back up. And then it goes back down. And it continues this process. And you start thinking to yourself like, well, you need a plan. And you don't have a plan. And you're not really sure on what to do. Like I was thinking, I need to wait for this institutional investors. And then there was all this talk of this Bitcoin ETF. This Bitcoin ETF was just around the corner. Then all this money's gonna come into Bitcoin and it's gonna shoot up to the moon. $50,000 Bitcoin. And the SEC, they would come out and there would be like a deadline where the SEC had to make an announcement on Bitcoin ETF. And then they'd like delay. It'd be like the week of this deadline and the SEC would delay. Oh, well, we're gonna think about it for another 2 more months. So you wait, and then the 2 months goes by, and the SEC would be like, oh, we're gonna wait another 2 more months. We're delaying the decision on the Bitcoin ETF. And it kept going like this. And you just like, and then there's this backed exchange that, there's a rumor about them working with Starbucks, and you're gonna be able to buy your coffee with Bitcoin and the Bitcoin ETF, and there's these rumors, and the backed exchange did come online. There was never any Bitcoin ETF yet, but the whole time the market was crashing and it fell, and then after a point of time, you're losing your money and you feel like you lose control. You don't know what to do. It's falling and you don't want to make a panic sell. You don't, like you think you know the fundamentals and you think the fundamentals are supposed to go up. But price is going down. So you question that. And then at some point you think, well, the damage is already done. That you've already lost a whole bunch of money and the damage is already done and it can't go down anymore. So you're just going to hold. But the problem is that the damage isn't already done and it can go down more from there. And during this whole process, I was up in the middle of the night checking, every night, I wake up in the middle of the night, check the Bitcoin price and, get all upset. And then sometimes it'd be a green middle of the night and I'm, get a little happy, think maybe when I wake up, we're going to be back off to the races. But most of the time it was a red at night, and then I'd just have trouble and get upset and couldn't go back to sleep. Then eventually, Bitcoin just kind of bottomed out and didn't really do too much else from 2018 to 2019. And eventually I gave up and sold. I needed to move on with my life. I'd been holding it. It was a thing in my mind. It was just always, it wasn't doing anything. It was just sitting there. And I had to live with this fact that I lost so much money. And eventually I sold it all. I had to move on and just move on with my life and in my investing career and all that stuff. But I walked away with $83,000. Out of that, $735,000. And now I understand that that's over 10 times the amount of money I put into it. But the lesson here is that's not how it felt. To me, it felt like I lost $730,000. All the Lambos were gone, the houses were gone, and I had to live with this new fact. And I did have my $83,000, which is nice. I did pay taxes on that, so I had to be honest, and I paid my taxes on that, so the IRS gets a cut of that. And I sold it in November 2019. So I took that money, then I invested it into invest in it, and then the crash of the coronavirus crash hit in March of 2020, so that wiped out a bit more of that money. Now they say that a gain or a loss isn't really a gain or a loss until you sell. And that's true on paper, but it's not really true in your mind. That's something that you need to convince yourself of. And for me, it hurt a lot to know that I was so, I was caught up and I could have took so much profit. That night, sitting on my bed, I could have walked away with $200,000. And instead, I walked away with 80-something thousand. But it didn't feel like that. It felt like I lost $730,000. And that was really life-changing amounts of money for me. That's like I won the lottery. And now I'm one of those people you see on the news that lost all their lottery winnings. And that's who I am now. And coming to grips with that, it was kind of like I was never depressed. I never wanted to jump out a window or nothing like that. But it was something that I had to accept. I kind of think of it as having a scar. Your life doesn't really change and people can't really see it. Imagine you have a big scar on your leg. No one can see it and it doesn't really affect your life very much. But it's there and you see it every day. And it's just the thing that's not going to go away and you have to live with that for the rest of your life. And that's kind of how I relate this idea of losing so much money. And I think that the big lesson here for people is if you've made money, especially in the past year in the stock market, there is nothing wrong with taking some profits. There are a lot of companies that are up 10 times in the past year that are up a whole bunch that, perfectly fine to go ahead and sell some of that. Sell 50%, sell something. Sell some of it for if there is a big correction that you get to walk away with some money. Think of it like this. If your job pays you $50,000 a year, and then you make $50,000 in Tesla or something, if you lose all those gains, it would take you a year of work to get your account back to that spot. Are you willing to work a year and pretty much for free? You pretty much have to work for free to get your account back to where it was. Are you willing to do that? Maybe if it's like you only have to work for a week or two, that's not a big deal. But when you get to those big, long, your numbers start to get really big and you have to work like a year, adding a year's worth of pay to your account to get back to where you were, then I think that you need to really consider some sort of plan in case things go wonky, like stop losses, some sort of trailing stop loss, sell half your position, something like that. Because losing big chunks of money, it hurts. Now the thing that's kind of irks me a little bit right now is how Bitcoin has been doing now. And if I would not have sold, if I would still have that Bitcoin, if I'd have kept it and kept all my positions, kept all my Ethereum and my Monero and my Neo, today my portfolio would be $531,000 if I had kept everything. So that's also an extra little salt in the wound. Like maybe I was right. Maybe this Bitcoin ETF is just around the corner and I had to hold on a couple more years. And all this stuff is coming true now, and there's more institutional investors, and there's the price of Bitcoin right now is $54,000. But I do see a lot of similarities now with then. Like you have SPACs now, and then you had ICOs then, and it's also similar to NFTs that are similar to ICOs before. That these are the new way to trade art or whatever. And then there's Neo. Especially like Neo, the car company, NIO, which is the Tesla of China. But then there was Neo, NEO, that was the Ethereum of China. And I look at the car company and I just feel like I've already seen this movie before. And I think Neo is up tenfold within the past year. Recently, it's up tenfold. Moral of the story is just don't be afraid to walk away from the table. You take your money and go home. There's nothing wrong with that. But I don't want to make this into like a big loss bragging episode like they do at Wall Street Bets. I do hope you get something out of this video, get some value out of it, and not make the same mistakes I did. And I'd really appreciate a thumbs up because this channel is monetized now, and let's see if we can get some of this money back. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And then I want you to go have a good day, alright? Justin out.